Namaste friends, welcome back to part 3 Outcomes of Democracy chapter. In part 1 we discussed accountable, responsive, legitimate government. In part 2 we discussed economic outcomes of democracy. Now today in third part we are going to discuss social outcomes of democracy. In these social outcomes there are two major topics given in your syllabus, that is accommodation of social diversity and second topic dignity and freedom of citizens. Now coming to accommodation of social diversity. So how democracy is promoting social harmony through the democracy. This is the first topic we are going to discuss. Before going to that, there is a question which is given in the textbook. Do democracies lead to peaceful and harmonious life among the citizens? When we saw in the first chapter how Belgium has successfully negotiated different social ethnic population peacefully resolve their conflicts. Means as per this example, the democracy allows peaceful and harmonious life. Now, first topic, social outcomes of democracy, accommodation of social diversity. There are different type of questions is given in the previous years 2011, 12, 13, 16, 17. First question, democracy stands much superior to the any other form of government in promoting dignity and freedom of individuals. Justify the statement. Let me discuss first the topic, how democracy allows harmonious peaceful life. It is expected to democracy should promote a peaceful and harmonious life. In what way it is promoting peaceful harmonious life? By providing fundamental rights to all, following the rule of law. It is promoting individuals safety, peaceful life. So in such several ways the democracy is allowing harmonious and peaceful social life. And second point, democracy is a best suited to negotiate and accommodate the social diversity. In what ways the democracy is accommodating social diversity? Example, the women's is the part of representatives everywhere. Even minorities also part of majority decision making. Every individual is contesting free and fair elections, choice of vote. Every individual have safety, security, livelihood. And individual people opinion also considered in decision making of democracy. So in these ways the democracy is best suited to negotiate and accommodate the social diversity. Then third point, negotiations and deliberations reduces the possibilities of tensions becoming explosive and violent. Means there is a ugly form of violence is going on. Some of the situations that can be reduced only by democratic form of government. How? By negotiations, deliberations. Means broad way of discussions and taking of different opinions, debates that may reduce the tensions among the people. The next, no society can fully or permanently resolve the conflict. Means whether democracy or non-democracy, none of the government will 100% may remove the problems of society. But when compared to other form of governments, the democracy teaches us to respect the differences and adjust accordingly. Every government have a problems. Democracy always face testimony. How the students are going to face exams one after one, PT1, PT2, PT3, PT4 and half yearly and board exams. Such a way, democracy always repeatedly going to face test. Test meaning is not going to write exam. One after one, if the democracy solve one problem, the one more problem may begins immediately, because people have different expectations. Whenever one problem is solved, people will come with the new expectation. This is what called democracy always face testimony. and ability to handle social differences and conflicts is plus point of democracy. Only the democracy will handle the problems, no other government will handle, because in democracy itself having some fundamental principles. The democracy has to restrict the principles, it need to protect the fundamental principles like liberty, equality, fraternity and justice. So that's why democracy is a better form of government, right, to resolve the conflicts compared to other form of government. There are other type of questions is given in the previous years. On the basis of the which value will be fair expectation that democracy should produce a harmonious social life. Just now we discussed how the democracy allows harmonious peaceful social life. Democracy accommodate social diversities, support the statement, as like reservations or minorities also part of majority, rule of law. Every individual have a right to vote. All are equal before law. Fundamental rights are given to irrespective of gender, caste, creed, religion. All these are the points related to question number 3. Democracy accommodate social diversities. Then democracy leads to peaceful and harmonious life. First point, first examples we discussed. And then coming to next topic, true democracies versus majoritarianism. Right? A comparison of democracy versus majoritarian government. So here, two conditions are required to accommodate the social diversity. When the government is going to accommodating diversity of people, so that need to promote two major conditions. First condition is democracy is not simply the rule of majority. So means generally democracy is government is majority government, rule of majority. In what sense we can say the rule of majority? Rule of majority means in this rule of majority the minority also part of majority government. This is what called rule of majority. As per democratic outcomes, majority and minority should work together to produce a general view for the government. This is what called a majority government. Majority and minority opinions are not permanent. This first condition is required to resolve the conflict, allowing the social diversity. And second condition, rule by the majority does not mean rule by majority community. As like first chapter power sharing, Sri Lanka example and Belgium. So here Belgium is a majority government. Even Sri Lanka also majority government, but there is a conditions are different. Majority government in the Sri Lanka is only one community is going to dominate the other communities. But in the Belgium, the government which is going to form only majority people opinion. First point, rule by the majority means different people groups have a chance to form a majority government. They are the part of majority. Even minority is also part of majority government. For example, present Indian government ruled by the BJP. This is not going to elect by only Hindus. There are the minorities and other sects also part of chosen right to vote. So to elect one of the government. The true democracy creates a conditions fair every citizen to be part of the majority at some point of time. Means every individual citizen, even one or two people, also part of majority government. The democratic rule ceases, stop working to be accommodative. Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, just present Narendra Modi's slogan. Here it is given, Sabko Saath Leke Chalna. When it is bars means it is not a bar, as like you people going to take a alcohol. So it is a bar means restricting someone from being a part of majority. Means democracy is not going to accept or cease to restrict someone. Cease means it is going to stop someone's to restrict in the part of majority. Means everyone is allowed in the part of majority decision making. This is what called democratic rules ceases the bar of someone's being a part of majority. An expectational example of Sri Lanka. Here the policy of majoritarianism is followed. Means there is a bar condition is applied in the Sri Lanka. The other Tamils are not allowed in the part of majority decision making. There is a question is given in 2015 on this topic. So this topic is very less expectations in the board examination. The next last topic, dignity and freedom of citizens in the democracy. So there are the major four examples is given: promoting individual respect, women rights and legal recognition, caste inequalities, how it is addressed, and law supporting to equality. So last topic, dignity and freedom of citizens. The democracy stands much superior to any other form of government to promote the dignity and freedom of individuals. Already we discussed what dignity means, right? Dignity is a respect of individuals, freedom of individuals. Every individual wants to receive respect from fellow beings. What does it mean? Means every citizen in the country have a desire to get a respect from others. Others means what? Outsiders, not only outsiders, their family members, friends, relatives, colleagues, or outside of the world. That is what called society. So they wanted to get respect from every individuals. This is what meaning of wants to receive respect from fellow being. The passion for respect and freedom are the basis of the democracy, and democracies recognize this at least in the principle. What does it mean here? Only at least in the principle it is mentioned. At least the principle is fundamental principles. So for passion of respect means every individual person need to be get the respect and allow freedom of their basis, birth, by birth or gender or creed. Irrespective of that, every individual need to be get the respect, and everyone have a followed the rule of law. All are equal before law. This was recognized by the democracy as a fundamental principles: liberty, equality, fraternity and justice. But practice maybe depends upon individuals opinion. Individuals, persons who follow the obey the law, obey the principles, they will follow automatically freedom and respect. But the people who violate the law principles, they may not. So this is what called run of the protection of the respect and the freedom of individuals depend upon the implementation of the law by the individuals. Then dignity of the woman, how it is respected in the society. So after long struggle, the women's are getting equal treatment in the society, because so generally in overall world, if you see the society is a male dominated societies. So every individual wants to receive respect from the fellow being. So then the world treated women as inferior. So then to achieve their equal rights, they fight long struggles. There is a third chapter, gender, religion, caste. We discussed feminist movement. So here the first point, long struggles by women have created some sensitivity and respect to women, and equal treatment of the woman are necessary ingredient for the democracy. So equal treatment means it does not mean always being a respecting to the woman, right? So allowing them to lead their life as peaceful, as harmonious, as equal to the men. This is what called respect of woman. Respect in the sense, not going to bound yourself to towards woman. Always it is not going to treat as a higher position. So respect in the sense to woman is that allow them to live their life as peace and harmonious, as equal to the men, and enjoying the rights as equal to the men. This is what called respect towards women. Once the principle of the equality of woman is recognized, it becomes easier for the woman to struggle for their rights and place in the society. Then next, the recognition of the principle of individual freedom renders legal and moral force to struggle by the woman. Legal and moral force. So how? Legal force is that the society, whenever woman is discriminated in the society, then they have a right to approach legally to protect their rights, or they can organize a movements supporting to protection of their rights. This is what called legal and place of society. The recognition of the principle of individual freedom renders legal and moral force to struggle by the woman. There are several laws and provisions in constitution to recognize the equal status of women. Of course, still, if you go back to the gender, religion, caste chapter, the woman representation in the politics, except local self government, if you go to the assemblies and parliament, only there are 14 percentage of the women are representatives in the assemblies and parliaments. But if you go to the detailed in state assemblies, less than 5% women are representatives. So it does that means we are not allowing the women in the society even today after 70 years of independence enjoying the equal political rights as men. Of course, by giving right to vote, it is not going to fulfill the desires of the woman. So recently there is a Nari Shakti Vandan Abhiyan, sorry, Nari Shakti Vandan Abhiyan. The act was passed in the 2023 by Modi government. 1/3 seats are reserved for the women in assemblies and parliament also. This may applicable from the 2029 elections in India. And caste inequalities and democracy. Democracy in India had strengthened the claim of claims of disadvantaged and discriminated caste for the equal status and equal opportunities. Who are called disadvantaged caste and discriminated caste? Disadvantaged is that backward, economically or socially backward sections called as disadvantaged groups. Means they are not enjoying all the rights as equal to the higher caste groups. Discriminated means whoever discriminated, suppressed, and wantedly they are going to suppress it in the society called as discriminated caste. So these people also need equal status. For that, there is a special laws were passed by the Constitution of India, Government of India, to give equal opportunity for them. So against discrimination, there is a Article 17 is passed mentioned in the Constitution for protection of depressed and disadvantaged caste groups. Untouchability is a crime. Now, caste-based inequalities and atrocities lack moral and legal foundation. Atrocities is in the sense that attacking based on the caste discrimination is not allowed in the society. If they practice that, they are legally foundation. They are going to punish it. People are aware and now they value their democratic rights. Such benefits and considerations may not be available in non-democratic regimes. This is what called major social outcomes of democracy. Then next, the comparison between the democracy expectations versus reality. So always, even we are leading in the life of democratic government, but the people are not satisfied with the democracy. Why? There is a dissatisfaction. What kind of dissatisfaction expressed by the people against the democracy? The people have ever increasing expectations from democracy. Means time to time they expect more and more from the democracy. The most distinctive about the democracy is that it is examination is never over, never end. Means time to time, even after 100 years also democracy will face again there is a problem to fulfill needs of the people. That is what previously we discussed. No government in the society fully or partly may resolve the conflict. Benefits of the democracy makes people ask for the more and more. It makes democracy even better. Then, so since from Indira Gandhi onwards, there is a words we are listening, Garibi Hatao. But still there is a poverty present in the country. There is a lack of malnutrition, right? And there is a infant mortality rate. There is a presence. Even gender sex ratio is woman ratio is lesser than the male. These are the continuous challenges. So we need to be overcome it. Economic inequalities, caste discriminations, all these are the continuous challenges which is not going able to achieved by the democratic government. Benefits of the democracy makes people ask For more and more takes to democracy even better, the fact that people are complaining itself to testimony. When the people are going to discuss about the democracy, so when they are complaining about the democracy, that means the democracy is facing one of the test. Witness are Sakshi to be success of democracy. So this was the success of democracy is decided based on the people's expressions, whether they are complaining or satisfied or not. If they satisfied, that is called as a successful democracy. If not satisfied, the democracy is not success. People are aware of their rights to criticize the government, or it keeps the power holders in check. Means the people who are in the power, like ministries or cabinets or MLAs or MPs or right executive bodies. So the people have a right to criticize them whenever they are not going to fulfill what they promised. The public dissatisfaction with the government shows the success of the democratic project. This is what called right people's dissatisfaction towards the democracy. The question is given in 2016. How are complaints by the people treated as a testimony to the success of democracy? Explain. And a public expression of the dissatisfaction with the democracy shows the success of democratic project. Justify the statement. Then last topic, democracy is seen to be good in the principle but felt to be not a good in the practice. So just now we discussed that the practice is depend upon individuals. The system never says do wrong. The law never says you go in the wrong direction. The laws and constitution or system always says you be in the right position. But the individual person may or may not. This will decide the democracy is going to good or bad. But we are not going to follow the rules and regulations. We blame only democracy. This is what called criticism or demerits of the democracy. Some people think that democracy produces less effective government because there is a delay in the decision making. Of course, if there is no delay, if you take quick decisions as like dictatorship government, that may not be successive or morally acceptable. Democracy is based on the idea of deliberations, negotiations. That's why it takes long process to take a decision, right? Non-democratic rulers do not bother about the debates, deliberations, discussions, assemblies, or public opinions. They take quick decisions, making and implementation. That's why there is a problems going to resolving immediately. But whether the problem is solved fairly or unfairly, there is no guarantee. So in democracies, follows norms and procedures to arrive at decision. When we are taking a decision, we have to go as per the constitutional laws. How we have to take the decisions. There is a procedure. The decision taken are likely to be more acceptable to be the people or more effective when there is a more negotiations, deliberations, discussions. So that will give a fruitful outcome in the decision making. That decision is going to more effective than quick decisions. Non-democratic regimes take decisions very fast, but it may not be acceptable by the people. For example, Iran government recently, when the women are objected to wear hijab, so there are 400 women were shooted on the spot. So there is a news in the recent months it's happened. The actual performance of the democracies shows a mixed record. Of course, there are the governments are failed or success. Democracies fall short of elections that provide a fair chance to every citizen. So when we are going to discuss about elections, every citizen have a fair chance to choose their leaders. Democratic government do not have good record regarding sharing information with the citizens. Of course, there is a one image I'll show you in the next slide that in your textbook it is given as like a telescope. So government know everything about the people pulse, but people does not know what is going on in the government. This is what called the government is not going to share information with the citizens. Democracies often frustrate and needs of the people. It ignores the people's demands, ignores the demands of the majority. Democracies are not free from the evil of corruption. Of course, we are watching in the news always there is a scams and corruptions, bribes, right? Misleading the laws. So misusing the power of constitution or given power of authorities, majorly administrative departments. So these are the major mixed records of the democratic government which is performing well or not. Democracy is not successful in reducing economic disparities. Of course, it is impossible because when we go to the equality, we have to follow the justice. Without justice, equality may not possible. So when we follow justice, some people may demand equality. Recently, we are listening. The people are opposing reservations, but reservation is a policy of justice. It is not a equality, right? Then some other demerits: unstable government, inefficiency of government, red tapeism, role of money in the democracy, money and muscle power. Elections chapter we discussed political parties. So this is what called social outcomes of democracy, right? The last topic questions are given in the previous examinations 2013 and 16 and 2015. First question: democracy is seen to be good in principle but felt be not so good in the practice. Justify the statement. These are the merits and demerits comparison of the dictatorship and democratic government. Decisions how it is going to take in fair and unfair. This answer you need to present. The next question: some people think that democracy produces less effective government. Analyzing the statement. That is what called reduction of economic inequalities. So democracy is very backward compared to the dictatorship. That comparison along with the failure of mixed record of democracy you need to perform. I hope it is clear. If any doubts, please comment. Thank you.